In the heart of Silicon Valley, a company built on disruption would soon face a disruption of its own. For nearly a decade, insiders whispered the same phrase: "Something is very wrong here." What began as a ride-sharing revolution was quietly becoming one of the most toxic corporate cultures in modern tech history. Uber's rise began like many tech legends, a small group of engineers and hustlers united by an idea they believed could rearrange the world. They moved fast, too fast for regulators, too fast for caution, and sometimes too fast for their own moral compass. Inside these walls, a new philosophy formed, one that rewarded confrontation, celebrated aggression, and dismissed hesitation as weakness. The culture was simple: win at all costs, and the costs would soon become enormous. Between 2011 and 2014, Uber grew at a speed almost without precedent. Dozens of cities every month, lobbying wars, street-level conflict with taxi unions, data science tools designed not just for optimization, but sometimes for evasion. But beneath the growth metrics and triumphant expansion charts, complaints were piling up, HR desks filled with warnings that rarely left the drawer. Inside engineering teams, pressure spiked. The mandate was relentless: ship faster, fight harder, don't slow down, and anyone who questioned the culture risked being labeled as the problem. The internal culture, described by former employees as Game of Thrones with code, fostered rivalry, paranoia, and a mindset where survival depended on staying silent. Then came the discovery of internal tools designed to mislead regulators, a program known internally as Grey Ball. It wasn't just controversial. It was a signal of how far the rule-bending had gone. In February 2017, a single blog post from a former engineer detonated inside the company. It described harassment, retaliation, and a system built to bury complaints. Overnight, Uber's internal wounds became a global scandal. Investigations followed. Former U.S. Attorney Eric Holder's team uncovered systemic failures, leading to more than 20 employee dismissals and a blueprint for cultural reconstruction. The era of unchecked aggression was collapsing. As the scandal spread, attention turned to the leadership that shaped Uber's culture. Investigators examined years of internal communication, messages that reinforced competitiveness but ignored psychological safety. Employees described performance systems where dissent was punished, ideas were stolen, and managers sometimes acted more like warlords than mentors. For many, leaving Uber felt less like a career move and more like escape. During the investigation, auditors found gaps, threads missing, decisions undocumented, and conversations wiped. Digital traces that should have told the full story suddenly didn't. Internally, the atmosphere shifted. Employees who once celebrated aggressive growth were now unsure which parts of the culture would survive. Allegiances softened. Once powerful teams lost their dominance. Meanwhile, the board convened repeatedly behind closed doors. What had been tolerated for years, aggressive leadership, ethical shortcuts, unchecked internal conflict, was now seen as a liability threatening the company's survival. One by one, senior leaders began stepping down. Some resigned quietly, others were pressured out. The culture that once projected invincibility was fracturing. Then another blow hit. A viral video showing a heated exchange inside an Uber ride. It offered the world a glimpse of the pressure boiling beneath senior leadership. Public trust, once shaky, teetered further. The public responded swiftly. #DeleteUber surged across social media, causing millions of Entire teams saw their structure dismantled. Some groups dissolved overnight. Others were reshaped under interim leadership. For many employees, the office no longer felt like a company. It felt like a cleanup site. Looking back, investigators realized the warning signs were never subtle. Each year brought more lawsuits, more employee complaints, more public controversies. The crises didn't appear suddenly. They accumulated. Inside strategy rooms, tension reached new heights. Board members and executives disagreed not just on solutions, but on whether the underlying culture was the problem or the engine that fueled Uber's chaotic rise. Then investigators uncovered another trove. Thousands of internal notes, surveys, and complaints that had never been escalated. The scale was larger than anyone expected. A pattern emerged. Employees repeatedly described the same failures. HR that protected leaders, not staff. Retaliation disguised as performance management, and a culture that normalized misconduct. Former employees described reporting incidents only to see their concerns dismissed. Some were told to be less sensitive. Others were warned that pushing complaints further would harm their careers. Data analysts confirmed the worst. Cases increased year after year, yet the rate of meaningful action dropped. The system wasn't failing accidentally, it was failing predictably. As findings leaked to the public, regulators intervened. Federal inquiries were launched, subpoenas were issued. The narrative had shifted. This was no longer just an internal crisis. It had become a national one. Behind closed doors, the board reached a conclusion that would reshape the company. Uber needed new leadership. The culture had grown too intertwined with its highest-ranking figures. The board formalized its recommendation. A leadership transition was not merely advisable, it was necessary. The first decade of Uber's story had reached its breaking point. What followed would change everything. In the months that followed, investigators, consultants, and crisis teams cycled through Uber's headquarters. The company, once known for rejecting outside influence, now relied on it for survival. Departments were reorganized, reporting lines rewritten. Long-standing teams were restructured to break cycles of insularity and unchecked influence. During the reconstruction, a significant decision surfaced. Uber's cultural values, long considered sacred, were to be rewritten. The slogans that once defined the company's aggressive identity were now recognized as catalysts of dysfunction. Compliance groups began drafting new systems to prevent retaliation. Anonymous channels were expanded. Escalation pathways were rerouted away from the executives who once controlled them. Thousands of employees underwent mandatory retraining. Topics once dismissed as unnecessary, bias, harassment prevention, escalation rights, were now treated as essential survival skills. After weeks of deliberation, the board reached a unanimous conclusion. The leadership at the center of the crisis had to step aside. The company's most powerful figure was now its greatest liability. Soon after, the office once occupied by Uber's most influential leader was emptied. A chapter of the company's identity, dominant, abrasive, unstoppable, came to an abrupt end. Word spread quickly. A transition was imminent. For the first time in years, Uber's narrative was shifting from confrontation to accountability. The company outlined its first major reform roadmap, new reporting systems, new HR leadership, and the promise of a culture built on responsibility rather than unchecked ambition. As leadership changed hands, the company entered unfamiliar territory. The chaos that once fueled its rise was fading, and a fragile attempt at renewal began. With leadership in transition, the board initiated a full reorganization, flattening power structures that once allowed misconduct to flourish unchecked. Engineering teams adopted new workflow systems aimed at reducing internal rivalry. For the first time, psychological safety, not operational speed, was placed at the center of team policy. Human resources underwent its most significant overhaul in company history. Old cases were reopened. Systems were rebuilt. Accountability, once absent, began to take form. But new findings emerged. Internal notes revealed previously hidden patterns, clusters of retaliation across certain departments, and vulnerabilities in how user data had been protected. For the first time, executives addressed employees openly. Instead of deflecting, they presented a full breakdown of the failures, structural, cultural, and operational, that led to Uber's internal collapse. Then a discovery shook the recovery effort. Regulators identified compliance breaches that had occurred during the culture crisis. These findings risked